The morning sun of 3 different stars painted the sky in colors that had never seen on Earth. She stood outside the main building of the Galactic Military Academy, holding her tablet with shaking hands. This was her first day, and she was already lost. Was not supposed to be here. Well, she was supposed to be at the academy, but she was not supposed to be standing in front of Building 7 with no idea where to go. The map on her tablet made no sense. The symbols were in Universal Standard, a language she had only learned 6 months ago. She could speak it well enough, but reading it was a different problem. Room 742, she whispered to herself. Pray survival tactics, that is my class. She had chosen that class because it seemed safe. Humans were new to the galactic community. They had only made first contact 8 years ago. Most alien species did not know what to think of them. Some thought humans were weak. Some thought they were strange. Almost everyone agreed that humans were not fighters. Was fine with that. She was not a fighter. She was a student who wanted to learn about the galaxy and maybe get a good job on a space station somewhere. The military academy offered scholarships to humans, and she had taken one. It was supposed to be easy. Take some basic classes, learn some skills, and graduate in 4 years. She walked into Building 7 and looked at the doors. The numbers were confusing. Room 724 was next to Room 789. Room 742 was nowhere to be seen. She walked up a staircase and found more doors with more strange numbers. Finally, she saw it. Room 742. The door was large and made of heavy metal. There was a small window, but it was too high for her to see through. She could hear sounds from inside. Deep sounds, growling sounds. That was strange, she thought. Why would a survival class have growling? She checked her tablet one more time. The screen showed 742 clearly. This had to be the right place. Maybe the teacher used recordings of predator sounds to help students learn. That would make sense for a survival class. Took a deep breath and pressed the button to open the door. The room was huge. It was more like a training arena than a classroom. The ceiling was 3 stories high. The floor was covered in soft material, like a wrestling mat but larger. And standing in the middle of the room were about 30 of the most terrifying creatures had ever seen. There were beings with scales and long tails. There were beings with fur and claws the size of kitchen knives. There were beings with 4 arms and teeth that curved like hooks. Every single one of them turned to look at her when she walked in. Froze. A massive figure stepped forward. It was a reptilian creature, at least 2.5 meters tall. Its skin was dark green with patches of black. Its eyes were yellow with thin black lines in the center. When it spoke, its voice was like rocks grinding together. "You are late," the creature said. Its mouth opened, but no words came out. "I am instructor," the creature continued. "You will address me as instructor or sir. Is that understood?" Nodded quickly. Looked at her for a long moment. His yellow eyes moved up and down, studying her small human body. She was only 162 centimeters tall. She weighed maybe 54 kilograms. Compared to everyone else in the room, she looked like a child. "What species are you?" asked. "Human," managed to say. Her voice was barely a whisper. The room went quiet. Then someone laughed. It was a sharp barking sound. Looked and saw a wolf-like creature with gray fur and bright orange eyes. Its mouth was open, showing rows of sharp teeth. "A human," the wolf creature said, "in Predator Combat Elite." His heart stopped. Predator Combat Elite. Not Prey Survival Tactics. She had walked into the wrong class. Her legs felt weak. She wanted to run. She wanted to turn around and leave and never come back, but was still staring at her, and everyone else was watching, and she could not make herself move. "Is there a problem?" asked. "I think," started, her voice cracked. She swallowed and tried again. "I think I am in the wrong room." More laughter. This time it came from several creatures at once. The sound filled the arena and bounced off the walls. The wolf creature stepped closer. It walked on two legs like a human, but its body was covered in thick fur. Its hands had claws instead of fingernails. A scar ran across its face, from its forehead down to its jaw. "You think," the wolf creature said. "Little human, this class is for predators. Real predators, species that hunt, species that kill. What are you going to do here? Die?" Felt her face grow hot with embarrassment. She looked down at her feet. "I am sorry, I will leave now." She turned toward the door. "Stop." The word was not loud, but it carried weight. Stopped moving. Walked toward her. Each step made the floor shake slightly. He stopped just 1 meter away and looked down at her. Up close, she could see the texture of his scales. She could smell something like smoke and metal coming from his skin. "What is your name?" he asked. She said. Repeated. "You say you are in the wrong class, but you walked through that door. You stood here while my students laughed at you. Most beings would have run by now. Why did you not run?" Did not know how to answer. The truth was that she had been too scared to move. But she could not say that. It would sound pathetic. "I do not know," she said quietly. Made a sound deep in his throat. It might have been a laugh, or it might have been something else. "The class has already started," he said. "If you leave now, you will be marked absent. If you stay, you will be marked present. Absent marks affect your scholarship. Did you know that?" His eyes went wide. She did not know that. 3 absent marks meant a warning. 5 meant scholarship review. She could not afford to lose her scholarship. It was the only reason she could be here at all. "I did not know," she said. "Now you do," turned and walked back to the center of the arena. "You may stay for today. Tomorrow you will fix your schedule. For now, stand in the back and do not get in the way." Walked to the back of the room on legs that felt like water. She found a spot against the wall and stood there, trying to make herself as small as possible. The other students returned to their positions. Some of them were still looking at her. Some of them were still smiling. The wolf creature was standing near the front, and it kept glancing back at her with those orange eyes. "My name is," the wolf creature said suddenly. It was speaking to the student next to it, but its voice was loud enough for everyone to hear. "And I give that human 10 minutes before she passes out from fear." Laughter again. Said nothing. She kept her eyes on the floor and waited for the class to continue. Raised one clawed hand. The room went silent immediately. "Today we begin with basic combat stances," he said. "You will learn how to use your natural weapons. Claws, teeth, tails, horns. Whatever your species has given you, you will learn to use it." He looked at. "Humans," he said, "have no natural weapons. No claws, no fangs, no armor. In the old records they were classified as a prey species. Easy targets." Laughed again. Other students joined in. His hands curled into fists at her sides. She was embarrassed. She was scared. But somewhere deep inside her something else was starting to grow, something hot and sharp. She was not sure what it was, but she did not like being laughed at. She did not like being called weak. She did not like the way everyone in this room looked at her like she was nothing. So when told them to take their positions and begin the first exercise, did not leave. She stayed against the wall and watched. She watched how the creatures moved. She watched how they balanced their weight. She watched how they attacked and defended. And she learned. She did not know why she was learning. She did not plan to come back tomorrow. She would fix her schedule and never see these creatures again. But for now, she watched, and something in her mind was already taking notes. The class lasted 3 hours. By the end, his legs hurt from standing still for so long. Her eyes hurt from watching so carefully, but she had not passed out. She had not run away. She had not given the satisfaction of being right. When dismissed the class, walked toward the door without looking at anyone. Human called out. Stopped but did not turn around. "You survived one class," said. "That was luck. Do not mistake it for strength." Walked out the door without answering. She did not know it yet, but she would be back tomorrow, and the day after that, and every day for the next 4 years. Because when she returned to her room and tried to change her schedule, she found that the system was locked. A message appeared on her screen. Schedule changes are not permitted after the first class attendance. Stared at the screen for a long time. She was stuck in Predator Combat Elite, and she had no idea what she was going to do. The next morning, sat on her bed and stared at the ceiling. She had not slept well. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw yellow reptilian eyes and sharp teeth and claws that could tear her apart in seconds. She had tried everything to change her schedule. She had sent messages to the administration office. She had tried to contact her scholarship coordinator. She had even tried to hack the system, which she knew nothing about and which failed immediately. Nothing worked. The academy had a strict policy. Once you attended a class, you were registered. If you wanted to drop the class, you had to fail it first. And failing a class meant failing everything. No scholarship, no academy, no future. Had two choices. She could attend Predator Combat Elite and probably get hurt or embarrassed every single day. Or she could give up and go home. Going home meant going back to Earth. It meant working in a factory or a store or some other job that would never take her anywhere. It meant watching the stars at night and knowing she would never touch them. Got out of bed and put on her uniform. The walk to Building 7 felt longer than yesterday. Her legs were heavy. Her stomach was tight. She kept thinking about and those orange eyes and that cruel smile full of sharp teeth. When she reached the door to room 742, she stood there for a full minute. She could hear movement inside, deep voices, the sound of bodies hitting the training mats. She pressed the button and walked in. The arena looked the same as yesterday, the same high ceiling, the same soft floor, the same crowd of terrifying predators, but today they were not standing in formation. They were sparring. Pairs of creatures were fighting all across the arena. They moved fast, faster than could follow with her eyes. Claws slashed through the air, tails swept at legs, bodies crashed together and rolled across the mats. Was standing in the center, watching everything with his yellow eyes. When entered, he turned to look at her. "You came back," he said. It was not a question. "Yes, instructor," said. "Why?" "I cannot change my schedule." Made that grinding sound in his throat again. "The system does not allow changes. I know. I put in the request to lock it myself." His eyes went wide. "You did what?" "You heard me," walked closer. The other students had stopped fighting and were watching now. "Yesterday you stayed when you should have run. You watched when you should have looked away. You learned when you should have panicked. I wanted to see if you would come back." "Why?" asked. "Because I am curious," said. "Humans are new to the galaxy. No one knows what you can do. Maybe you are as weak as everyone thinks. Maybe you are not. I want to find out." Appeared beside. The wolf creature was breathing hard from sparring, and there was a small cut on its arm that was already healing. Instructor said, "You cannot be serious. Look at her. She has no claws, no teeth, no muscle. She will die in the first real exercise." "Then she will die," said calmly. "But that is her choice to make, not yours." His orange eyes narrowed. The creature looked at with something that was more than mockery now. It was anger, real anger. "Fine," said. "Let her stay. Let her learn what it means to be surrounded by predators. When she breaks, I will be the first to laugh." Walked away. Other students went back to their sparring, but noticed that many of them were still glancing at her. Some looked curious, some looked annoyed, a few looked hungry. "Today is combat fundamentals," said two. "You will not spar. You will watch and learn the basic movements. Tomorrow you will be tested." "Tested how?" asked. "You will see," turned and walked away. Found her spot against the back wall and started watching. The sparring was brutal. Students hit each other with full force. They drew blood. They broke bones that healed within minutes because of their advanced biology. They fought like animals, using every part of their bodies as weapons. Had never seen anything like it. On Earth, fighting was controlled. There were rules, there were referees, there were pads and gloves and protective gear. Here there was nothing, just predators doing what predators did best. After an hour called for a break, students walked to the sides of the arena and drank water from large containers. Some of them sat down to rest, others checked their wounds. Stayed in her corner, she had not moved, she had not spoken, she had just watched. A creature approached her. It was smaller than most of the others, only about 180 centimeters tall. Its body was covered in short brown fur, and it had large ears that stuck up from its head like a rabbit's, but its teeth were sharp, and its claws were long. "You are the human," the creature said. "Yes," replied. "I am." The creature tilted its head. "That is not my real name. My real name is too hard for other species to say. I chose because I heard it in a human show once. It means flower, right?" Blinked. "You watch human shows?" "Sometimes. Humans are interesting. You tell strange stories." Sat down next to. "Why are you here? Everyone says you walked into the wrong room." "I did." "And you stayed." "I had no choice." Made a sound that might have been a laugh. "There is always a choice. You could have left, you could have fought the system, you could have gone home." "Going home is not an option," said. "Why not?" Thought about her answer. She thought about her small apartment on Earth, where she had lived with her mother and two younger brothers. She thought about the factory where her mother worked 16 hours a day. She thought about her brothers, who were counting on her to succeed so she could help them later. "Because people are depending on me," she said finally. His large ears twitched. "That is a good answer, better than most." "Most?" "Most predators are here because they want to fight. They want to prove they are strong. They want glory and honor and all those things that sound good but mean nothing." His voice was soft. "You are here because you have to be. That is different." Did not know what to say to that. "Be careful," continued. "Does not like you, neither do his friends. They think you are an insult, a prey species in a predator class. It makes them angry." "I noticed," said. "Species is called, they are pack hunters. They believe in strength above everything. A weak member of the pack is removed, killed sometimes. They see you as weak." "I am weak," admitted. "Maybe," stood up. "Or maybe you are something else. I have read about humans. Your species conquered your entire planet. You killed creatures much bigger and stronger than you. You changed your world to fit your needs. That is not what weak species do." Before could respond, called the class back to training. Walked away without another word. The rest of the class was more sparring, watched everything. She noticed patterns. She noticed how different species moved differently. The reptilian students were strong but slow to turn. The like were fast but predictable. They always attacked the same way, going for the throat or the belly. She did not know why she was memorizing all of this. She could not fight. She had never been in a real fight in her life. But her brain kept recording information anyway, sorting it into categories, looking for weaknesses. When the class ended, called to the center of the arena. "Tomorrow," he said, "you will face the endurance test. All new students must pass it in their first week. You will run. You will keep running until you cannot run anymore. The student who runs the longest wins." "Wins what?" asked. "Respect." Leaned down until his face was close to hers. "In this class, respect is everything. If you want to survive, you need respect. If you fail the endurance test, you will have none." "And if I pass?" "Then maybe you will live long enough to see the second week." Was standing nearby listening. The wolf creature laughed. "An endurance test," said. "Instructor, the longest any student has run is 9 hours. I ran for 8 hours and 40 minutes. That human will be lucky to last 2. Did not respond. He just looked at with those yellow eyes. "Tomorrow," he said, "be ready." walked back to her room in a daze. An endurance test, running for hours and hours against creatures who were bigger, stronger, and faster than her. She had no chance. But as she lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling again, she remembered something. Something from her history classes on Earth. Something about humans that most other species did not know. Humans were not the fastest animals on Earth. They were not the strongest. They could not fly or breathe underwater or see in the dark. But there was one thing humans could do better than almost any other animal on the planet. Humans could run. Not fast, but far. Very, very far. Closed her eyes and smiled for the first time since she had arrived at the academy. Tomorrow was going to be interesting. The endurance test took place on a track outside the main building. It was a simple oval, 1 kilometer around. The rules were even simpler. Run until you cannot run anymore. No walking. No stopping. If you stopped for more than 10 seconds, you were out. 32 students stood at the starting line. 31 predators and 1 human. Looked small between the massive bodies around her. To her left was a creature with 6 legs and armored plates covering its back. To her right was, who was stretching and showing off his muscles. "Try not to fall down in the first minute," said without looking at her. "It would be embarrassing for everyone." Did not answer. She was focused on her breathing. Slow and steady. In through the nose, out through the mouth. She had learned this when she was young, running in the hills behind her grandmother's house. Stood at the side of the track with a timer in his hand. "The record for this test is 9 hours and 12 minutes, he announced. "That record was set 15 years ago by a student. No one has come close since." The students shifted nervously. 9 hours was a long time. "When I give the signal, you will begin," continued. "You may run at any speed you choose. You may change speed at any time, but you may not stop. Understood?" "Yes, instructor," the students shouted together. Raised his hand. The arena went quiet. "Begin." The students exploded forward. Most of them started at a full sprint, showing off their speed and power. Was at the front of the pack within seconds, his long legs eating up the distance. Did not sprint. She started at a jog. A slow, steady jog that looked almost lazy compared to everyone else. Some students laughed as they passed her. A few made comments about weak humans. One of them, a creature with blue scales and a long tail, actually stopped to mock her before continuing. Ignored them all. She kept her pace steady. 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers. After 30 minutes, the first student dropped out. It was a large creature with 4 arms and thick muscles. It had been sprinting the entire time, and now it was bent over at the side of the track, gasping for air. "Out cold." The creature walked away in shame. After 1 hour, 8 more students had dropped out. They were all the ones who had started fast. Their bodies were built for short bursts of speed, not long runs. They had burned through their energy too quickly. Was still running, but he had slowed down. His fur was wet with sweat. His tongue was hanging out of his mouth. He was breathing hard. Was still jogging at the same speed she had started at. She passed without saying anything. The wolf creature growled at her, but it was a weak sound. "You will not last," said between breaths. "You will fall. I will be here to see it." Kept running. After 2 hours, only 15 students remained. Was watching with an expression that might have been interest. His yellow eyes followed as she completed another lap. Ran up beside her. The rabbit-like creature was breathing steadily, but there was strain on its face. "How are you doing this?" asked. "Doing what?" replied. "Running. You have not slowed down at all. Your breathing is the same. Your stride is the same. How?" Thought about how to explain it. On Earth, there was a word for what she was doing: persistence hunting. It was how ancient humans had caught their food. They could not run faster than deer or antelope, so they chased them, for hours, for days sometimes. until the animal was so tired it could not run anymore. Humans were not built for speed, they were built for distance. "I am just running," said. "This is what humans do." Stared at her for a moment, then fell back. The creature could not keep up with the conversation and the running at the same time. After 3 hours, only 10 students remained, was still running but barely. His steps were uneven. His body was shaking. He was running on pure willpower now. Felt fine. Her legs were warm and her lungs were working hard, but she was not tired. Not really. This was nothing compared to the runs she used to do in the mountains back home. After 4 hours collapsed. The wolf creature fell forward onto the track and did not get up. Medical staff rushed over to help him, watched with no expression. "Out," he called. Was carried away. As he passed, their eyes met. The hatred in those orange eyes was burning hot, but there was something else there too, something that looked almost like fear. Kept running. After 5 hours, only 5 students remained. Was one of them. The others were all large, powerful creatures with incredible endurance, but they were struggling. Their movements were getting slower. Their breathing was getting louder. Was still jogging at the same pace. The students who had dropped out were gathered at the side of the track, watching. Some of them were pointing at. Some of them were whispering to each other. Was sitting on a bench, wrapped in a blanket, staring at her with those burning eyes. After 6 hours, 3 more students dropped out. Only and one other creature remained. It was the 6-legged armored creature she had stood next to at the beginning. Its name was, and it was known as the best endurance runner in the class. Was not running anymore. It was walking fast, just barely staying above the minimum speed. Its legs were shaking. Its armor was covered in sweat. Was still jogging. "What are you?" asked as passed him for the 20th time. "Human," said. "Humans are prey," said. "Prey does not run like this." "Maybe you were wrong about what prey can do," replied. She pulled ahead and did not look back. After 7 hours, stopped moving. The creature stood in the middle of the track, its 6 legs locked in place, and refused to take another step. "Out," called. Was the last one running. The students at the side of the track were silent. No one was laughing now. No one was making comments. They were all just staring at the small human who was still moving around the track like she could run forever. Walked onto the track and held up his hand. "Stop," he said. Slowed down and came to a stop in front of him. She was breathing hard now, and her legs were starting to feel heavy, but she could have kept going. She knew she could have kept going. "The test is over," said. "You are the winner." "What was my time?" asked. 7 hours and 23 minutes. Looked at her with an expression she could not read. That is not close to the record, but it is longer than any other student has run in 15 years. Nodded. She did not feel proud. She did not feel happy. She just felt tired. "There is something else," said. His voice was lower now, almost like he was sharing a secret. "I looked up your species in the old records, the very old records, the ones from before humans were classified as prey." "What did you find?" asked. "Humans were not always classified as prey." Leaned closer. "When the first galactic explorers visited your planet, they watched your species for many years. They saw how you hunted, how you chased animals for hours until they dropped from exhaustion, how you used tools and traps and fire, how you worked together in groups to bring down creatures 10 times your size." His heart was beating faster now, and not from the running. "The original classification for humans was not prey," continued. "It was predator, apex predator, the same classification as my species, the same classification as the—" "Then why was it changed?" asked. "Politics," made a sound of disgust. "Some species did not want humans to have that status. They said humans were too weak, too soft, too new. They forced a reclassification." He stood up straight and looked down at her. "But classifications are just words. What matters is what you can do. He gestured toward the other students who were still watching in silence. Today, you showed them something they did not expect, a prey species that can outrun predators. That does not happen. That should not happen. Looked at the crowd. She saw fear on some faces, confusion on others, and on his face she saw something that looked like respect mixed with hatred. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now," said, "you rest. Tomorrow we begin combat training." "Combat training. You can run, that is good, but running will not save you from everything." Turned and walked away. "You need to learn how to fight, and I am going to teach you." Stood alone on the track for a long moment. Her body was tired, but her mind was racing. Apex predator. That was what humans had been called. That was what she was supposed to be. She looked at her hands. Small hands, weak hands, no claws, no weapons. But maybe that did not matter. Maybe there were other ways to be dangerous. She walked off the track and headed back to her room. She had a lot to think about. And tomorrow, she would have to learn how to fight. 3 weeks had passed since the endurance test. 3 weeks of watching. 3 weeks of learning. 3 weeks of preparing for what was coming next. Had not sparred with anyone yet. Had kept her on the sidelines, telling her to watch and memorize. She had done exactly that. She had watched every fight, every movement, every technique. She had filled 3 notebooks with observations. The like were slow to turn. Their tails were powerful but predictable. They always swung left first. The like attacked in patterns. 3 quick strikes, then a pause. They could not help it. It was in their blood. The 6-legged species used their front legs for balance. Take away the balance and they fell. Every species had weaknesses. Every predator had blind spots, had found them all. But finding weaknesses was different from using them. She had no claws to strike with, no teeth to bite with, no tail to sweep with. All she had was her body, and her body was small and soft and breakable. On the morning of the 22nd day, called her to the center of the arena. "Today," he said, "you will spar." The other students made sounds of excitement. Some of them were already smiling. They had been waiting for this, waiting to see the human get destroyed. Stepped forward immediately. "I will fight her." "No," said. "Why not?" "Because you want it too much." Looked around the room. "You will be her first opponent." A creature stepped forward from the crowd. Was a reptilian, smaller than but still much larger than. His scales were bright red and his eyes were black. He had long arms with sharp claws at the end of each finger. "This will be quick," said. He did not sound cruel, just confident. He was stating a fact. Walked to the center of the arena and faced him. Her heart was beating fast, but she forced herself to breathe slowly. In through the nose, out through the mouth. "The rules are simple," announced. "No killing, no permanent damage. The fight ends when one student is pinned or surrenders. Begin." Attacked immediately. He was fast for his size, his claws slashing towards face. Was not there. She had moved before he even finished his first step. She had seen his shoulders tense. She had seen his weight shift. She had known exactly where he was going to strike. Stumbled past her, confused. He turned and attacked again. Same result. Was already somewhere else. "Stop running," shouted. "I am not running," said. "I am waiting." "Waiting for what?" "For you to make a mistake." Roared and charged at her with both arms wide. It was a powerful move, designed to grab and crush. Against another predator, it would have worked. Against, it was a disaster. She dropped to the ground and rolled between his legs. As she passed under him, she reached up and grabbed his tail with both hands. Then she pulled. His balance disappeared. He fell forward and hit the mat face first. Before he could recover, was on his back. She wrapped her arms around his neck and squeezed. Thrashed and struggled, but he could not reach her. His arms were too long and his body was too stiff. He could not bend enough to grab her. After 10 seconds, he stopped moving. "I surrender," he said. let go and stood up. Her arms were shaking from the effort, but she kept her face calm. The arena was silent. Walked over and looked at, then at. Time of fight, he said slowly, 14 seconds. Whispers spread through the crowd. 14 seconds. That was faster than most fights between trained predators. How did you do that? Asked. He was still lying on the mat, looking up at her with confusion. You telegraphed everything, said. Your shoulders, your feet, your eyes. I knew what you were going to do before you did it. That is impossible. No, interrupted. That is human. He turned to the other students. Humans are pattern recognition specialists. Their brains are designed to find patterns and predict behavior. It is how they survived on their planet. They could not fight predators directly, so they learned to predict them instead. Pushed through the crowd. His orange eyes were burning. One fight means nothing, said. Is young and inexperienced. Let me fight her. I will show you what a real predator can do. Looked at, do you accept? His instincts were screaming at her to say no, was dangerous, wanted to hurt her, had been waiting for this moment since the first day. But she had been waiting too. I accept, she said. Smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of a predator who had finally cornered its prey. They faced each other in the center of the arena. Was crouched low, his claws extended, his muscles tense. He looked like he was about to explode. Stood straight, her hands at her sides, her body relaxed. Begin, said. Did not attack immediately. He had learned from watching. He circled around looking for an opening. Turned with him, keeping him in front of her. You think you are special, said. You think because you can run and because you beat one weak opponent you are one of us. You are not. You will never be one of us. I do not want to be one of you, replied. Then what do you want? To survive. Laughed, survival is for prey. No, said, survival is for the smart. Attacked 3 quick strikes just like she had predicted. Left claw, right claw, left claw. Then a pause. Dodged the first 2 and caught the third. His eyes went wide. No one had ever caught his strike before. His claw was inches from his face, held in place by her 2 small hands. You always pause after 3 strikes, said. Every time I counted. She twisted his arm and pulled. His body followed, spinning around until his back was to her. Before he could recover, she kicked the back of his knee. He fell to one leg. Did not let go of his arm. She bent it behind his back and pushed up. The angle was wrong for his joints. If she pushed harder, something would break. Surrender, she said. Never. Threw his head back, trying to hit her with his skull, leaned to the side and avoided it. Then she pushed his arm higher. Screamed in pain. Surrender, said again. I will kill you, shouted. I will tear you apart. You will do nothing with a broken arm. His voice was calm, cold. Surrender now. The arena was completely silent. No one was breathing. Everyone was watching the impossible scene in front of them. A human holding a warrior in a submission hold. A prey species dominating a predator. His body was shaking. His free hand was clawing at the mat. He wanted to fight. He wanted to keep going, but the pain was too much. I surrender, he said. The words came out like poison. Let go and stepped back. Lay on the mat for a long moment, holding his arm. Then he got up and walked away without looking at anyone. His pack mates followed him in silence. Walked to the center of the arena. Time of fight, he said, 12 seconds. More whispers, faster than the first fight, against a better opponent. Appeared beside. The rabbit-like creature was staring at her with something like awe. How did you know? Asked. How did you know he would pause after 3 strikes? I watched him, said. For 3 weeks I watched him. I watched everyone. I learned their patterns, their habits, their weaknesses. That is human, had walked over to join them. Humans are not strong, they are not fast, they are not tough, but they are patient, they watch, they learn, they adapt. and when they strike, they do not miss. He looked at with something she had never seen in his eyes before: respect. There is a word in your language, he said. Persistence. Humans have it in ways that other species do not. You chase your prey until it falls. You study your enemies until you know them better than they know themselves. You never give up. Never. Did not know what to say. Word will spread, continued, about what happened here today, about the human who outran every predator in the class, about the human who defeated a warrior in 12 seconds. Other species will hear about you. Is that good or bad? Asked. Both turned and walked back to his position. Class dismissed. Tomorrow we begin advanced techniques. The students filed out of the arena. Many of them looked at as they passed. The looks were different now. Less mockery, more caution. Stayed behind. They are afraid of you now, said. Good, replied. Is it? Fear can turn to hatred. Will not forget what happened today. Thought about that. She thought about the burning hatred in his orange eyes. She thought about the whispers and the stares and the dangerous path she was walking. I know, she said, but I would rather be feared than dead. She walked out of the arena alone. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new fights, new enemies, but today she had proven something important. Humans were not prey. Humans had never been prey. And anyone who forgot that would learn the hard way. 6 months had passed. The season had changed twice. The 3 suns of the Academy world had shifted in the sky, and was no longer the scared girl who had walked into the wrong classroom. She was something else now. The final examination was held in the grand arena, a massive structure that could hold 10,000 spectators. Representatives from every major species in the galaxy were there. Military leaders, politicians, scholars. They had all come to see the graduating class of the Predator Combat Elite program. But most of them had come to see. Word had spread, just as had predicted. The human who could outrun any predator. The human who could read minds with her eyes. The human who had defeated 17 opponents without losing a single match. The stories had grown with each telling. Some said she had special powers. Some said she was not really human at all. Some said she was a weapon created by Earth to destroy other species. Ignored all of it, she had work to do. The final examination was simple. Each student would face 3 opponents in a row without rest. Victory meant graduation. Defeat meant failure. Stood at the edge of the arena, watching the other students complete their tests. Most of them won their first fight but lost the second or third. The exhaustion built up. The mistakes accumulated. Only the best made it through all 3. Was one of the best. The wolf creature had not spoken to since their fight 6 months ago, but he had trained harder than anyone. His movements were faster now. His patterns were different. He had learned. Won all 3 of his fights. When he walked off the arena floor, he passed without looking at her, but she heard him speak under his breath. Beat that human. Appeared beside her. You are next. Who are my opponents? Asked. Unknown. They were selected randomly this morning. Could be anyone from the other classes. Nodded. Random opponents. No time to study. No patterns to memorize. This was the real test. She walked onto the arena floor. 10,000 spectators watched her in silence. She could feel their eyes on her skin. Some were curious. Some were hostile. Some were afraid. Her first opponent walked out from the other side. It was a creature she had never seen before. Massive, nearly 3 meters tall, covered in thick gray hide. It had 2 huge horns on its head and arms like tree trunks. Announced to the crowd, known for their incredible strength and resistance to damage. The snorted and lowered its head, ready to charge. Took a deep breath. She did not know this species. She did not know its patterns. She would have to learn them in real time. Begin. The charged. The ground shook with each step. It was like watching a truck coming toward her. waited until the last possible moment, then stepped to the side. The rushed past her, its horns missing her by centimeters. She reached out and touched its side as it passed, feeling the texture of its hide. Thick, very thick. Punches and kicks would be useless. The turned and charged again, dodged again and again and again. The crowd started to murmur. This was not fighting, this was running away. But was not running, she was learning. After the sixth charge, she saw it. A small gap in the hide right behind the creature's front leg. The skin there was thinner, softer, a weak point. She waited for the seventh charge. This time, she did not just dodge. She moved toward sliding along its side like water flowing around a rock. As she passed the weak point, she drove her elbow into it with all her weight behind it. The screamed and fell. Did not stop. She jumped onto its back and wrapped her arms around its thick neck. The creature thrashed and roared, but it could not reach her. After 30 seconds of struggling, it went limp. "Surrender," it said. The crowd erupted, 10,000 voices shouting at once. Could not tell if they were cheering or booing. It did not matter. Her second opponent was already walking onto the floor. It was smaller this time, only slightly taller than. Its body was covered in sleek black scales, and it moved like liquid. Announced, known for their speed and venomous bite. His eyes narrowed. Speed and venom, this would be different. Begin. The attacked instantly. It was fast, faster than anything had faced before. Its arms were blurs. Its teeth snapped at her face, missing by millimeters. Retreated, dodging and blocking. She could not find a pattern. The movements were too chaotic, too unpredictable. The crowd was getting louder. They could see her struggling. Then they got through her guard. Its teeth sank into her shoulder. Pain exploded through his body. She felt something cold spreading from the wound. Venom. The smiled and pulled back, ready to watch her fall. But did not fall. Her hand shot out and grabbed his throat. Her fingers squeezed. The creature's eyes went wide with shock. "Humans," said through gritted teeth, "have very high venom resistance." It was true. On Earth, humans had evolved alongside venomous snakes and spiders and insects. Their bodies were not immune, but they could survive things that would kill other species in minutes. The venom was making her dizzy. Her arm was going numb, but she was still standing, still fighting. She squeezed harder. The clawed at her hand, but she did not let go. After 10 agonizing seconds, the tapped out. "Surrender, surrender." Medical staff rushed onto the floor. They gave an injection that neutralized the venom. The dizziness faded. The numbness retreated. "Can you continue?" asked. Looked at her shoulder. The bite was deep. Blood was running down her arm. Every movement sent pain shooting through her body. "Yes," she said. The crowd went wild. They were cheering now. She could hear it clearly. Even the species who had come to watch her fail were shouting her name. Her third opponent walked onto the floor. It was. Stared, "What is this?" "Final opponents are selected for maximum challenge," said. "Requested to face you." The committee agreed. Was standing across the arena, his orange eyes burning bright. He had waited 6 months for this moment, trained for this moment, dreamed of this moment. "This ends now," said. "One of us walks away, one of us does not." Felt the blood dripping from her shoulder. She felt the lingering weakness from the venom. She felt every bruise and cut from the first 2 fights. She smiled. "Then let us end it. Begin." Did not charge like before. He circled, watching her injured shoulder. He was smart now, patient. He had learned everything she had taught him. Circled with him. Her vision was blurring at the edges. Her body was screaming for rest, but she kept moving. Attacked, quick strikes, but different patterns now. He had changed everything. She could not predict him anymore. A claw caught her leg, another caught her side. She was bleeding from 3 places now, 4, 5. The crowd had gone silent. They were watching a human get torn apart. but was watching too. Was attacking with his right arm more than his left. He was favoring it. That arm she had nearly broken 6 months ago still bothered him. She waited for his next attack. When it came, she blocked his right arm and twisted. The old injury screamed, howled in pain. Did not stop, she could not stop. If she stopped, she would fall. She hit him in the throat, in the knee, in the ribs. Each strike was precise. Each strike targeted a weakness she had memorized months ago. Fell back gasping. Blood was running from his nose. His right arm hung limp. How? He choked. I changed everything. You should not know my weaknesses anymore. I did not need to know your new patterns, said. I just needed to know the old injuries, the old fears, the things you tried to hide. She stepped closer. I watched you for 6 months. I know you better than you know yourself. She raised her hand for the final strike. Closed his eyes. But did not strike. She lowered her hand. Surrender, she said. You fought well. There is no shame in losing to someone who studied you for half a year. Opened his eyes. The hatred was still there, but it was mixed with something else now. Confusion, maybe even respect. I surrender, he said quietly. The arena exploded with sound. 10,000 voices screaming, lights flashing, music playing, stood in the center of it all, covered in blood, barely able to stand. Walked onto the floor. He was not smiling, but his eyes were warm. You have passed, he said. You are now a graduate of the Predator Combat Elite Program. Nodded. She did not have the energy for words. Turned to the crowd and raised his hand for silence. Today, he said, his voice echoing through the arena, we witnessed something that has not happened in 300 years. A human, a species classified as prey, has completed the most difficult combat program in the galaxy. She has outrun our best athletes. She has outsmarted our best fighters. She has proven that the old classification was wrong. He looked at. Effective immediately, I am submitting a formal request to the Galactic Council. The classification of humans will be changed. They are not prey. His voice rose. They are predators, apex predators, and the galaxy will remember this day as the moment we learn the truth. The crowd roared again. Barely heard it. Her body was shutting down, demanding rest. But before she collapsed, she saw something that made her smile. Was standing at the edge of the arena. He was not cheering, but he was not glaring either. He raised one hand in a small gesture of acknowledgement. From that was respect. Raised her hand in return. Then she fell unconscious. When she woke up 3 days later, she was in a medical bay surrounded by flowers and messages from species across the galaxy. Her picture was on every news channel. Her name was in every database. She was famous. But more importantly, she had done what she came to do. She had survived. She had succeeded. She had made a future for herself and her family. And she had reminded the galaxy of something they had forgotten. Humans were never prey. They never would be. The end.